All right, folks, we are live on the live stream. We'll wait for everyone to join. We have an awesome show today. This one's going to be a fun one. We've been trying to plan this one for months now. I had my people talk to Nate's people. We finally got it worked out, and we have about an hour-long show packed with a ton of questions, all the questions that you've wanted to know about Canadian Prepper. So I've been a big fan of Canadian Prepper for several years now, and it's just been awesome watching his channel just blow up lately, especially with everything going on. And he's just making awesome content. So over the past week, I asked you, the audience, on what questions would you like to ask Nate from Canadian Prepper. And so I put that list together of all the questions that you provided. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat room as best as possible. But we're just going to do an hour of power questions with Canadian Preppers. So without further ado, let's bring them on now. So let's say hi to Canadian Prepper. Here we go. Let's see, you're live on the live stream.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is fun. So, and it looks like you're at an undisclosed location in your vehicle somewhere in Canada, right?
I can't tell you where I am. If I did, I'd have to kill you.
Okay. Well, great. Yeah, well, thanks again.
That was a bit of all-American prepper coming out there.
Yeah, well, we have some questions planned for the mysterious all-American prepper later on in the show. I even have a little commercial break for us where we could kind of deep dive into some philosophies of all-American prepper. So that should be a fun one. So how are things going with you?
Just busy. You know, trying to stay busy and get things done. You know how it is being a YouTuber, being a dad, and doing a job.
Yeah, you're one of the busiest prepper YouTubers on the planet. I don't know if it gets much busier than that. You have a full-time, you have a very successful YouTube channel. You have a very successful online store. You have a family. You have all sorts of stuff. So we're hoping we could dive into some of those questions to see what's going on in the life of Canadian Prepper. And it looks like we have some folks in the chat room all saying hello. So I'm going to do my best to try to keep up with the chat room. We have Bernie behind the scenes doing crowd control in the chat room. We'll bring him in too. And so welcome. Let's just get going with it. So first question up, if I could get my notes up. Let's see. All right, here we go. So it kind of goes with what I was talking about. You have a lot of things going on, a very successful YouTube channel and an online store. Like, can you walk us through what the typical day in the life of Canadian Prepper is?
You know, it's nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, you say I'm the hardest working YouTuber, but I don't know about that because there's a lot of guys who are cranking out the content every day. So maybe at one point I was, but hopefully I'm not slowing down as I start to get up there in years. But you know, it's just the usual stuff. Doing the online store, researching for videos, shooting videos, spending time with the kids, going to the gym. You know, trying to stay in shape. That's a very important thing for me, is just staying active and always trying to be on an incline as opposed to a decline. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So when you wake up in the morning, are you just going, is there, sometimes I like to imagine what is Nate doing right now? Is he shipping off, bug out bags to people and bug out rolls, or starting the next filming for the next video, or what? Like, what time do you wake up and what time does everything really get going for you?
You know, maybe you can relate to this because, you know, YouTubers are artists in a lot of ways. And as artists, we're a little unorthodox. So for me, I don't have the discipline to wake up at the same time every day. I wish I did. I get in patterns where I will, you know, wake up really early for a few weeks and then I'll kind of fall off of that. But, you know, I try to just cram as much into the day as I can. Unfortunately, it's not as regimented as I'd like it to be. But, yeah, you know, usually if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm probably working. Back in the day, 15 years ago, I would have been partying my face off. But now I'm working. So
yeah, it's kind of
the last time.
It's kind of crazy. It would have been fun to be able to look back in time, like in the movie Tenet, to see what life was like for us 10 to 15 years ago, long before all this YouTube stuff. But
yeah, a lot quicker, but a lot funner. So
yeah, it looks like I see that City Prepping's on the line. He's wondering when you're coming down to Southern California. It looks like
too many fires down there. We'll wait till things cool down a bit.
Yeah, there are some fires there. It's hopefully City Prepping has some good fire safety supplies down there in his prep. So I imagine that he does.
everybody seems to be leaving California. So I don't know. Maybe when they start
So
coming.
the next question for you is, what area of prepping do you think you're the most ready in, and what area of prepping do you think needs the most improvement?
Well, I think
I can't hear you.
gear wise, I have everything I need. Gear
Yeah,
wise. So I've I don't think there's one piece of gear that if I see a new piece of gear, it's a good day. Something that I've never seen before. So, I have with the store and everything. I mean, I'm pretty much set for decades if the shit hit the fan, if I can defend it. But no, I think communications is probably one of the biggest areas that I'm lacking in, and part of the reason why is because it's just a very I personally find it to be hard to get engaged with. I know me and myself and Survival Tech Nord, we had planned a bit of a duo there at one point where we were going to collaborate on a communications video about long distance comms, but it never quite materialized in the way I thought it would. So, that's something that's still in the cards in the future. I plan on taking a course on ham radio. And in Canada, there's some restrictions now. You can't have Baofeng radios legally. So, it's made it a bit more complicated to, you really have to do the whole licensing thing and, do all that. So that's one of the areas that I found has been a little dry. And it's one of those things that kind of puts me to sleep when I start learning about it. So,
yeah.
hopefully we can find a good guru who will make it interesting.
Yeah, well, Survival Tech Nerd is definitely an awesome channel that everyone should subscribe to. And I remember when you kicked off that series, that seemed like it was going to be a fun one. Hopefully, as time permits, we'll see how things go after November, but that'll be a fun one. So there's a lot of questions coming in the chat room already. I'm just going to keep going with what we have planned right now. But on your channel, you cover a wide range of different topics, and you've always done these deep dive analyses. It started with after the collapse series and some of the other topics that you're going in. As far as all of the topics going on, what's the one that you would say keeps you up at night the most? The one that's the most concern?
Yeah, I wouldn't really say there's any one thing in particular that keeps me up at night. That's part of the reason why we prep, is so we don't have to worry about these things. But it's easy to think myself into an existential crisis of sorts, whereby I'm thinking about all of the drastic changes in the world that are occurring right now, which are unprecedented in human history, and it's easy for me to then imagine how things could go awry rather quickly. So I mean, there isn't one thing in particular, like I said, but what I will say is that now more than ever before in history, we're at a place where there's so many ways for things to go wrong that didn't exist in the past. Like 500 years ago in the medieval era, or maybe that was a little bit longer than that, but there was only one real thing that could take out large swaths of people. Well, there's two things. There was wars,
Yeah,
but they were limited in terms of how many people could be killed in wars. And then there was also plagues. But today there's just so much more that could potentially go wrong. So many artificial induced collapses, if you will. Be they economical or like a World War III type scenario, or just our grid dependence faltering in some way, shape, or form. That it's there's a lot of people who I think right now they're looking for they make up these conspiracy theories about what's going on in the world, and they're hoping that there's some elite that's privy to some sort of esoteric knowledge about where we're going as a species. But I think the thing that would actually keep me awake at night would be the fact that there probably isn't, and that the people who we do grant some of the greatest privileges in our society, they they don't know what the hell to do either, and they're just kind of riding it out with the rest of us. So that would be one of the thoughts that I would have that would keep me awake at night would be the fact that, now more than ever, like there's 8 billion people and 6 billion of those have been added in the last 100 years or so.
Yeah.
And so we're really in uncharted territory as a species. And as much as I'm hopeful and I'm optimistic, and I believe that technology and science, and if we just have faith in the method and the system, that things will probably be okay. Anything could just things could just go to hell, right?
Yeah.
Now, this isn't something that I think about all the time, but it's something, if I start thinking about it, I find it fascinating, just the state of the world today. And yeah, that's what kind of has compelled me to do all the videos about after the collapse, and just the sociology of the breakdown of society, what that might look like. And a lot of it is just hypothetical stuff, drawn from historical examples.
No, Dad, you have to go be a cow woman.
Sorry, do you want to say hi to?
No, I'm here to talk to you.
You say
Hey.
hi to
Hi.
Okay.
How you doing?
You never know when one of the kids is
Daddy.
going to storm. Dad is in a live stream right now, baby.
Dad, I'm here to talk.
Okay, we'll talk in a little bit.
No.
Sorry about that. You understand with kids.
Leave it to kids to bring us back down to earth.
Dad,
Yeah, well, I was going to mention that.
and Cindy's gonna be a cow woman.
Okay, great. She's telling me. Okay, for
I
me.
do these in my car.
Yeah, you never know. She does that in my work meetings too, where I'm in an interview or a work meeting, and she'll just totally storm it. And but for me, like going back to some of the stuff that you're talking about, because prepping is such a vast topic, you could really dive into. You can spend your whole time focusing on comm stuff, or on medical stuff, or on firearm stuff. And for me, it's a real daunting way of thinking of things. And for me, the thing that would keep me up at night is not as much myself, but as you see, I have a young daughter. It's my kids and my wife, who aren't as into emergency preparedness as I am. I'm not sure how your family is with this, but having those people, if I was a lone wolf, it'd be one thing, but having that mentality from a family man's point of view is the part that's tough for me, and the thing that scares me, but also keeps me motivated.
Absolutely, I'm 100% with you on that. There's a whole different set of motivations when there's a family involved, and when it's more than just yourself. Which is not to say that there's not people who are as committed to prepping who are lone wolves, or don't have big families or kids or anything like that. I was a prepper before I had kids, before I had a family, and it just kind of magnified as I had a family. So I could totally relate to that.
Yeah, getting a lot of cool questions coming in here already. I'm going to keep going with the ones that we had planned ahead of time, and then we'll start maybe going through some of those as well. On your channel, you cover a lot of topics specific to, the name is Canadian Prepper, but there's a lot of American topics, and you've gone into detail this on your videos with regard to, you kind of look at it as a North American, like politics, and the stuff that happens in the U.S. could affects Canada and so forth. I was curious, have you ever considered moving to the U.S., maybe bunking up with All American Prepper one of these times? And if so, how would that change your preparedness planning, if it would?
He'd be waiting for at the border.
Yeah, sure. I don't think he'd let you in, but
he would definitely not let me in. He'd be turning me into the internment camps or whatever you got down there. Dual citizenship would be amazing. That would be. I'm sure there's some tax implications of that, which might suck, which might be good. But that would be great. North America, I look at it as North America because if I was to blindfold, an American person from a major city, knock them out, and then drop them in one of our major cities, it's like we go. Turn here.
Did an EMP happen up there? What's going on?
I have to turn the lights on. Okay, if I was to drop, an American into a Canadian city, and you would think that you were in a Canadian city, culturally, linguistically, we're so similar, and in terms of our laws, also, if it wasn't for the weather, we'd be a lot like California.
Yeah.
So, and really, I screwed this saying up last time, but I hope I won't screw it up tonight. If we sneeze, that means that the United States has caught a cold. Okay. So we're that entwined in terms of our trade relationships, and even the border. There's places where you can literally walk across the border, and there's city streets that run along the border. So I talk about the United States a lot because the implications are massive, and really what happens in the States affects the entire world economically. We've seen that, of course, this past March when we had the little crash there. And, we're just right we get the front row seat, right, to that. So the difference, I think, between USA preppers and Canadian preppers, there really isn't much. Like I say, we're really similar. The only real difference would be in the gun laws.
Yeah.
And maybe we're a bit more polite in some places, not in all places. But really, besides open carry and a wider selection of firearms, there really isn't a lot of difference, I think, in terms of Canada and the United States. Obviously, the climate, you live on the West Coast, and on the West Coast in Canada, that would be the ideal climate to survive any sort of grid down predicament, which was prolonged, because everywhere else in Canada is pretty cold. So that's one of our major challenges here, is surviving the winters, whereas that's not a big problem where you're at and many places throughout the USA. But those are the major differences, I think.
Yeah, I think at least where I'm located at, it doesn't get too cold, it doesn't get too hot. It rains a lot, but beyond that, it's a pretty good place if you're if you want to survive somewhere. Going to the Pacific Northwest isn't a bad option. With regard to firearm stuff, I know that I saw a bunch of stuff going through the chat room. Hey, why doesn't Canadian Prepper do more firearm videos? And you talked about this in a recent video with regard to what you could have and what you can't have and stuff, but to answer, I guess, in general, with regard to Canadian firearm laws, like what do you have an interest in covering firearm videos more, but you can't, or what's kind of your thoughts on that as far as like video production?
Yeah, I mean, we can. I would love to do more firearms videos, but as YouTube has certain restrictions on that, and I know channels that do it, and I've been meaning to reach out to one of those channels just to see what the limits are and the boundaries are with doing that type of content. So I would like to do a bit more of it and just see what happens. I just don't want to get my name on some kind of blacklist. I think YouTube's guidelines are maturing a lot more. So I've noticed over the past year and a half that the system is getting a bit smarter. So it's not just blanket banning certain types of topics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a promise for that kind of content in the future. I just don't know when and in what capacity it's going to be.
Yeah, that's I think on my channel, I've never really covered any firearms things, and it's been kind of nice as terms of my YouTube videos not getting flagged for that. Now they do get flagged for every time I do a gas mask video. It's it's the end of the world, and it gets shut down until after a little bit of time. But yeah,
gas masks, they just don't like them, but they like the other.
Yeah, they didn't like gas masks until coronavirus, and then now they're pro gas mask, I think, as far as the algorithms.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, I think because we're talking about a CBRN and mustard gas and all sorts of things, I don't think they like those keywords. So,
I'm sure it's not with some kind of, I don't want to say the word because this video might get flagged, but starts with a T.
Yeah, it's yeah. We're already going to get. I'm sure we're going to get flagged. They don't want Canadian and American preppers talking like this in the stream with the audience. So.
Keep the firewall up.
I'm seeing a lot of funny comments in the chat room already. I'm gonna get to those as we can. But and everyone's talking about All American Prepper. They want to know more information on it. But maybe we could talk about that shortly. So let's go with let's see how. With regard to the store, so can you talk a little bit about the history of the store? I've always felt it's kind of like it's like Consumer Reports for preppers meets Amazon, and people are coming to you for curated prepper gear. And so it's an awesome thing, and it's really grown, it seems, over the years. Can you kind of talk a little bit about the history of why you wanted to start the store and how now you have this big, huge warehouse that I see? So maybe some of the backstory on how that all went.
Yeah, you summed it up really nicely when you talk about a curated shop for preppers. Well, it all started because I created that bug out roll bag. And then I started selling that, and then people wanted stuff to put inside the bug out roll. So I said, well, maybe I'll, reach out to some companies and see if I can get some sort of bulk deal on, some actual trinkets to put in there. And then it just kind of grew from there, where I started to bring in, bigger and bigger products. And yeah, that's kind of where it is now. The whole goal of the website is to basically be, a place where people can go and get reliable gear, kind of like a place where that everything you get there is going to be quality.
Yeah.
And obviously, for certain things you have to pay a premium. And what I found is that, especially, as we're going to see moving forward, and we've seen this with the fake, KN95 masks and all that, is that there's going to be a lot of people who get into this industry just to make a quick buck and are selling a lot of, you'll probably see me if you go on Instagram. I'm in all these flashlight videos that I never signed for, and they're all like these junk flashlights, right? One example. I'm sure they're stealing all kinds of footage, but there's all sorts of people and swindlers out there who are just trying to make a quick buck off the industry. And preparedness and survival gear and outdoor gear in general is a very serious thing, because you're really putting people's lives at risk if you give them, or if you're selling them something and it's going to not perform in the field, or it's going to degrade quickly, or it's going to break. That can mean life or death. So, and this stuff gets beat up rather quickly. Like everything we sell in the store, I mean, you use it over the weekend, it's going to be tested. It's going to be put through the ringer real quick. It doesn't take long when you take gear out into the field to get it dirty, especially if you're outside of an urban environment.
Yeah.
So, we try to make it so that it's a trusted, reliable source for gear. And, we have a long way to go in terms of just optimizing the website. Like, we're in the process of doing that right now, improving the customer service, there's a long way to go with it. So, but it's a humble beginning, and it kind of just it wasn't like this grand ambitious thing that I thought when I started it. It just kind of has been growing. So but the vision is to I'll never compete with Amazon. That's not going to happen. But we offer pretty competitive prices. We do free shipping over $200. And a lot of the things we sell are heavy, so they cost a lot to ship, like MREs and wood stoves and things of that nature. So yeah, check it out if your viewers are interested, for sure.
Yeah, I've always kind of imagined that if there was like an emergency situation that happened, that you would have a ton of energy, solar generators, you'd have a ton of MREs, you'd have a ton of mountain house stuff and all sorts of survival items. You'd probably could be some supply a lot of different people in a grid down situation, maybe be the kingpin of a
town kingpin, so long as I could stay alive.
Yeah.
I'd be paying mercenaries with freeze-dried food.
Yeah, that's funny. I was going to save this particular question until later, but I think we should just get right down to it. I'm not sure if this is still the most popular video, but people want to hear about the toilet paper tablets. I see it in the chat room. How does it feel to be the world's premiere toilet paper tablet guy? I bought some after watching the video. Maybe we could talk about the history of the toilet paper tablets.
Sometimes I wonder if somebody in YouTube has it in for me. And they're just like, all right, we're gonna push this button and we're gonna make this guy's biggest video. It's that kind of a slap in the face, but hey, I'll take it. Yeah, that was the first video that kind of blew up, and I can't even remember how it came about. I think I I came across those things somewhere, and I started using them. I used them on the West Coast Trail, which is like a 70-kilometer hike, and they were really useful. It was a really compact way of getting her done. So it's more is there to say about it. So now, yeah, I don't know if your viewers have seen my video about the how I predicted the toilet paper apocalypse.
You did.
I would strongly encourage them to go check it out, and go check out the toilet paper kingpin. He's an interesting character into himself. I could see him getting into a scuffle with All American Prepper.
Yeah, I do remember. I remember seeing that as well. Maybe we could go. So I'm sure everyone's already subscribed to you, but let's go to Canadian Prepper. Let me look over here on the channel really quick, and then toilet paper kingpin.
It probably, yeah, I don't think that's the name of the video, but oh, there it is. How I caused the toilet paper apocalypse. That's
yeah. So we all have you to blame for this then, for early 2020 then.
I've considered maybe I had something to do with it, but I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I do remember this video. This was an awesome one. So, if you guys haven't seen that video, definitely check it out because it's super entertaining. Are the toilet paper tablets flushable? I've always been curious on that one. I haven't tried it.
No, they're not. It's made of like a cellulose material, and it's not meant to be flushed down the toilet. So if you're talking about like they're really for outdoor use.
Yeah,
they are biodegradable, but yeah, you can't flush them down because they're so strong, and they double as like paper towels. Yeah, you don't want to be flushing them down the toilets.
Yeah, I include them in my kind of coronavirus EDC kit where if I need to wipe down a table, I'm not carrying a big thing of wipes. I'm carrying the toilet paper tablets and using a little water to open them up and everything. I do think that someone from YouTube was definitely kind of trolling you and made that one because you have all these masterpiece videos, and then the toilet paper one's the one that hit. So for all new YouTubers out there that are starting your channel, you just got to wait for that one to go viral like that. So cool. I see a lot of stuff in the chat around here. So, well, I think let's see. Yeah, everyone's talking about toilet paper now. So great. Let's keep going down the questions. Maybe we should start with it now. So. How do I start this one? Everyone wants to know more about All American Prepper, the relationship that you have with this person, where he comes from. Is there a family history? And before we get going with that, I have for those of you that are unfamiliar with All American Prepper, years back, All American Prepper did a kind of a review of my EDC and was doing some kind of color commentary of it. So I thought we could just kind of watch that really quick, and then we'll dive into that topic because that's the topic everyone wants to know about. So let's take a quick look now at All American Prepper.
So Canadian Prepper has requested my expertise on a few matters related to everyday carry. Some of you know I'm an expert in prepping, survival, and the apocalypse that has yet to come. I have very little real-world experience, besides running from the IRS for many years, living like some backwoods shut-in in the middle of nowhere. And it ain't none of your goddamn business where, let me tell you that. So let's get on and see what this boy has to say about everyday carry. Some kind of jazz music going on. I don't approve of that. Starting to sound like a heathen already.
I'll do a video featuring my updated EDC. EDC stands for Everyday Carry. It's the items that you carry in your pocket from a day-to-day basis.
Sounded more like everyday communist to me.
You know that I categorize my EDC items based off of various tiers.
You need to categorize nothing. Categorize this.
Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 1 are all the basic items, and then it moves on from there. So
even all your tiers. Look, there's going to be a whole lot of tiers in the apocalypse, I can tell you that.
That video goes on for a while. I want to get a t-shirt of that. I don't know if it's okay with All American Prepper as far as there's going to be a lot of tears in the apocalypse, but I thought that was awesome.
No manners, that guy. No manners. I apologize.
Yeah. So can you talk to us a little bit about the backstory of All American Prepper? Where does he come from? What does he do? And what's your kind of relationship with him?
Well, it's a character. I did a video called Prepping Parodies, and he was one of 4 characters that was in that video. So if people like the All American Prepper, go check out the Prepping Parodies videos. There's a couple of them. And one of the characters was the troll who, always comes on the videos and has all the answers to everything. And the other guy was the bushwhacker. He was kind of like the hippie prepper. And his character never really took off as much, but I think, it probably could. And then there was also the newbie, so the greenhorn, he was called. And All American Prepper kind of stole the show, and I just kind of rolled with it. Then I think he commandeered my channel and attacked you in that very video. I apologize for that.
Yeah.
And I think he did it twice. He made 2 videos about you, and then he did it to City Prepping. Then he did it to
Survival Lily, it looks like.
Yeah, Survival Lily. And I actually had to take that video down because I was a little concerned that YouTube would, not like it too much. This was after the whole Adpocalypse 2.0. So I figured, well, maybe we should just put this aside for a while. But All American Prepper, some people take offense to it, and it's certainly not meant to be demeaning towards my American brothers and sisters. It's not meant to denigrate or put anybody down. It's really if you most people are familiar with the show Doomsday Preppers, and we preppers get a bad rap as being a little extremist and overly paranoid at times. And I figured one of the best ways to take that back and to take ownership of it and to immunize ourselves from those types of criticisms is to kind of revel in how absurd we can be at times. And a little bit of self-deprecating humor goes a long way in terms of it's kind of disarming to critics who are trying to leverage that as a criticism against us. So I figured, let's they're right in some ways. We can go a little over the top at times. So let's take ownership of that, and let's put it into a character. And I have All American Prepper moments. It's nothing to do with being American. There's just as many over the top Canadian preppers or preppers in Europe. I mean, I get customers in Australia who got bunkers, and there's people all over the world doing this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I wish I had a bunker, by the way. I don't yet, hopefully someday. But yeah, it's also a way to not only to make fun of the political extremes within the community, because All American Prepper obviously is a caricature himself, so he is the butt end of a joke. But at the same time, he's joking about the other side of the spectrum. He gets a joke about the snowflake left and all of the memes, right? So it's a way for me, who's a person who's very moderate and apolitical and centrist, it's a way for me to kind of just make fun of everybody equally. So yeah, hopefully nobody takes it the wrong way. I know some people are. That's the thing with comedy. It's you're always going to offend somebody, and you kind of walk a fine line where I can't remember. I listen to a lot of comedian kind of motivational talks, and they talk about how you got to be offending people a little bit in order for anybody to want to watch you in the first place.
Yep.
So it's just kind of how it is. But that's where All American Prepper came from.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of All American Prepper, even though he's not a big fan of me, and I do like a lot of his slogans. And I think there could be a whole T-shirt line of All American Prepper slogans. Hopefully, that's coming down the pipe on the on the website. So,
on that note, I'm really wishing that somebody would do a all Canadian Prepper parody, and to give you an idea of what that might look like, it would be like the overly polite prepper who apologized to the marauders for getting in the way of their preps when they were being robbed. And I'm sure you could do a lot with it. Talk about how firearms aren't that important at all, and how it would just be this diatribe against Donald Trump for 10 minutes every video. So I would encourage somebody out there, if you like making videos, make an all Canadian prepper video. I'd be more than happy to watch it.
I think there's something to that, and maybe something like that might be in the works. I have heard a rumor of on the Urban Prepper channel on some kind of gangster rap in the works that might be coming after All American Prepper. So we'll see that maybe, and we'll see how after November goes. So,
but
so everyone's with all the stuff going on. You cover a lot of this on your channel, but maybe we could kind of dive into stuff now. A lot of people are concerned with a lot of different things coming up in the next few months. We're in a worldwide pandemic. There's a big election in the United States. Can we just kind of talk just overall on your thoughts? I see a lot of stuff in the chat room related to this as far as what are things going to be like when they unfold. I know that you covered this recently just in today's video too, but can we just kind of dive into your thoughts of let's start off maybe with the political scene going on right now, maybe like the short condensed version, and just what are your overall thoughts that we could discuss.
What's coming in November, after November?
Yeah, I know in your video today we talked about, okay, here's what's going to happen for after November. I just see a lot of this is like seems to be the overall theme in the chat room right now as far as
right.
Canadian Prepper, what do we do? What's going to happen? What's our sign? What's our sign to bug in or bug out? So we need the answers.
Yeah, I wouldn't bug out until there was a reason to bug out, until there was a real, urgent emergency that required that. But I would encourage people to go and check out that video I made today, because it's such a nuanced topic that's, it's hard to predict with any certainty what's going to happen. I think it's pretty evident for reasons that I laid out in today's video that politically we appear to be more polarized in many ways than, I don't want to say ever before in history, because obviously there was civil wars in history where we were extremely polarized. But I think we're approaching that, and the technology that we use and potential foreign influence is impacting that, and it's causing it to escalate. So, there's definitely concern there that there could be, I don't know how things are going to play out on a state by state level there, if there's contested election results, but there could be people who don't like the outcome of the election, and if they decide to mobilize in the streets, and if that leads to altercations and violence, then of course that could potentially lead to the government having to step in and intervene, like they did earlier in the year during the riots with the National Guard. And if there's like I say, I don't know, like the United States is such a vast land. It's one country, but part of the conversation that doesn't get enough airplay with the whole COVID thing and how it played out is that people treat the United States like it's one country, like they compare it to like Italy, or like a smaller country, but you guys have like this huge landmass, and every state is different. It has its own unique set of issues. So saying that the outbreak wasn't handled as well there isn't really fair, because just the way your system is set up, right? The state law interfering with the federal law and stuff like that. So it's such a diverse landscape that it's hard to say what's really going to go down in the country as a whole. I think it will really boil down to, on a local level, what might happen. So people know their own communities better than I do, and they know how polarized people are or might be within those communities. So I would really look at it as how are things in your community? Are you in a tense situation? I mean, do you live in Portland or one of these places where it's extremely where people are extremely at odds right now? Then in that case, I would have some contingency plans along the lines of security and bugging out. Where are you going to bug out to, right? Unless you have a place to bug out. Obviously there's a lot of people who seem to be moving towards a suburban or rural lifestyle if you can, but that's something that takes a lot of planning, and it's not going to be able to do that before November unless you haven't done it already. So I think just so much could happen. So much is going on in the world right now. We're in uncharted territory here. So I'm sorry I don't have all the answers in a single paragraph to give to your audience in a nutshell, but you know, I would just encourage them to watch my videos, and I'll keep them apprised of everything that comes across my desk, if you will, you know, and try to. I'm not an expert at these things, but I do keep my ear to the ground, and I read and I study these things quite religiously on a nonstop basis, especially when I'm working in the warehouse. There's always something playing in the background to try to fill my head with, you know, information as to what's going on. And I really appreciate it when people send links my way, because really I get so much good information from my subs. Like, I'm always surprised when people send me links, because sometimes I'll think to myself, oh, I've probably seen this before, and sure enough, it's something, you know, that I've never seen before or heard before, and I'm like, wow, how did I miss that? So I would encourage people, if they have information, you know, send me it. You know, my email is public. So
Yeah, it's I mean, I'm definitely concerned on either way on what happens. I think it's this is kind of the stuff we've been prepping for years. It just feels a little surreal, and it doesn't feel like how I kind of imagined it in my head, as far as kind of a, you know, a grid down or as an SHTF situation, because everything kind of looks and sounds normal unless you turn on the news or turn on social media. I know a lot of people kind of over centralized or kind of fascinated about like the whole bugging out or bugging in type stuff, and I think most of us are probably bug in style people, no matter what we're at. As you mentioned, where are you going to bug out to? And if you don't have an Atlas survival shelter right now, out in the woods somewhere, it's probably a little too late at this point. But yeah, it's definitely scary times. It's so I like that you, on your channel, you're able to dive into these type of topics in a great amount of detail that really these multi-billion-dollar companies that are all on the TV station should be doing that level of detail and research and analysis and the visuals and everything in a non-biased way to provide, you know, let people come to decisions and think for themselves and strategize, you know, real stuff versus all the political games on both sides and all that kind of stuff. So I wish there was more Canadian preppers out there like yourself that is able to share this with their audience on their platform in that level of detail and professionalism. So I think that you do a really great service to, you know, the world. So, and it's really awesome. So
appreciate it.
Yeah, again, we're here with Canadian Prepper, if you don't already know. So thanks everyone in the chat room. We have a few more minutes over here. We have a lot of questions. I'm trying to my best to read through them and look at the camera at the same time.
If we go a little over time, it's all good.
Cool. Well, let's how about, and a lot of it is related to you know, political stuff and you know, Trump versus Biden. And I see all that stuff going in the chat room. I know you've already talked about it in your channel. So if you guys don't know what Nate's going to say on that, you got to go watch the videos. What's going on here? So here, really quick. All right, quick. The grid just went down. Live stream's off. Electricity's off, including your cell phone. What's the first thing Canadian Prepper does?
Well, actually, I have a video kind of coming out on this particular topic. So, you know, I don't want to totally close everything.
We might have to skip the question. Wait for the video.
Yeah, I mean, one of the first things I do, obviously, was try to figure out a way to contact people who, you know, family, loved ones, make sure I knew where everybody was at. And I think at that point, your biggest thing is going to be information gathering, because it could be a variety of things that, you know, cause your cell phone to stop working. Are we just talking about a no cell signal, you know, or are we talking about you know, your phone actually is fried because there's been an electromagnetic pulse or something like that?
Yeah,
you know, so there's a lot of troubleshooting and investigation that I think would have to be done first to decide exactly, you know, to jump to the conclusion. Because you know, there was one time I was in a hunting store. It was funny, and the power just shut off, and I heard some guy yell out, you know, like a few aisles down. It was dark at the store, and he's like, "Is it an EMP?" And then there was another guy who yelled out, "No, my phone's still working. It's not an EMP." Yeah,
that's
I didn't
awesome.
that, you know, that the circuitry might be too small and that it might actually not fry your cell phone, but it could still fry the power grid. But you know, we didn't get into that conversation. But so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I think it would be information gathering. Then of course you would get into taking an inventory of your supplies, you know, filling the bathtub with water, doing all the usual stuff. And you know, just security, depending on where you are, things could go south really fast. But if you live in a small town, it might be months before things really get ugly, and it might be, things getting ugly in Canada might be like a pushed over trash bin or something like that. Whereas in New York City, there could be like mobs of people, like, going from block to block, looting and pillaging and stuff like that. So it really depends on where you are. There's no one answer, but there is, I guess, a way to analyze it and to hopefully find the optimal course of action.
Yeah. Do you, when you're out and about, like when the EMP type test scenario at the store, do you get recognized by people that are followers of the channel? Or do you go in disguise?
I have been more and more, and what I've realized is I think a lot of people don't come up to me, and I'm not sure why that is, because I know that there's people who know who I am, and for whatever reason they don't talk to me about it. So maybe maybe it's something in my aura. Maybe I just, I'm so in my own world. I know you're very, approachable, and people come up to you, and I see you on Instagram. You're taking pictures with your followers and stuff like that. I do see them, and I do, interact with them briefly. But yeah, it hasn't been a problem yet. People think, oh, you have, like millions of views, but you'd be surprised that we're in a different era. Celebrity doesn't do what it did before, because you can have millions of followers and never be recognized. It's a strange world with the social media universe that we're living in now.
Yeah, I mean, prepping is a very niche topic too. We'd probably be better off if we were making songs or something, or whatever, singer-songwriter type stuff.
Yeah, playing video games, doing prank videos, doing
the video games. Yeah, it's a prank. It's a prank.
Yeah.
This is a question that I had. So if you could only recommend one video out of all the videos that you've done over the years, maybe if you're going to put it in a time capsule to represent the human race, what's the one Canadian prepper video that you think would, kind of encompass you and what the message you'd want to get out?
That's a good question. I think in terms of like a blend of like high production and where I really felt that I was saying something of substance would be the World After 2020 video I did back in December 2019. And it makes me, if people watch that now, I seem like Nostradamus. But really, that was one of those videos where I really felt that, if YouTube cut me off tomorrow, I could go out a happy man after making that video, because I feel that, that was everything I had to say. I said it in the best way I possibly knew how, which I can't say about all my videos. You know how that is, where you're rushing or something. And that video wasn't rushed. It was just, it seemed like it was a good video. And I'm a person who, maybe you can relate to this, I'm my own worst critic. So every video I make, I think it sucks.
Yeah.
And think that, it's terrible. And like, what the hell am I talking about? And, so, which kind of keeps me trying to learn more and improve, which is a good thing. So, and it's one of these topics where it's not, we're not just talking about quantifiable stuff. A lot of the videos we're talking about hypotheticals and theoretical stuff. So it's open-ended. So there's a possibility to say things in error, or to be maybe a little overzealous in some topics. So
yeah, I don't watch my videos after they go live. Just after I've done all the editing, because I the same way, I think it sucks. And I was kind of,
but
yeah,
your videos are great because they're universally accessible, and they don't alienate anybody. You stay strictly on the topics, and they stand the test of time. Like, it's perennial content that you make, whereby, like, I don't think you do many videos that aren't going to be relevant 5 years from now. Whereas a lot of the videos I do, which are topical, and a lot of the stuff that gets attention nowadays, unfortunately, is stuff which is going to be irrelevant 1 week from now.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of the world we're in.
Do you schedule your videos to go live at certain days, or do you like work on that video and then post it in real time?
Or
is it a combination?
Yeah, there'll be certain like general topic videos. Like I have a way of color coding my videos. So there's blue videos and there's red videos, and there's no political metaphor there at all. Like some people say, "Oh, it's a red pill video or it's a blue pill," but that's not what it is. It just I happen to settle on those two colors. So a red strip video in my thumbnails means that it's kind of more of an open-ended, opinionative video, whereas a blue strip video is more something which is more general. It's more information, like practical information that's going to be relevant many years from now, type thing. A timeless video, evergreen content. Whereas the red videos are usually me phoning it in or ranting about something.
Cool. I did not know that. Now I'm gonna have to keep an eye on the blue videos and red videos. So there's a legend that goes behind it. I do like the terms that you're saying as far as perennial or an evergreen video. I think that's really cool, and I think that I like that. I wish I thought of something like that. So, cool. Again, a lot of comments in the chat room with regard. We see stuff on EMPs. We see stuff about water storage. Everyone, we're not going to probably be able to get to all these ones, but we appreciate everyone being active in the chat room.
Really cool setup you have here, by the way.
Oh, it's a lot of fun with them able to bring in the chats just as we go. And I've been trying to improve my backdrop so it doesn't look it's just in my home office, and you can see a bunch of stuff in the back there. That's where I film a lot of the tabletop videos. I see that someone gave a super chat. So thank you so much this is the amazing staff, man. So thank you for the super chat. We're saving money for Bernie, who's behind the scenes right now, monitoring the chat room and blocking people that are blocking the trolls and everything. So Bernie's will probably bring him on to say hi to Nate at the end of this one. Let's see. I'm not going to
go to your troll video.
The what?
I'm looking forward to your troll video.
Yeah. Let's see. I got some more questions over here. Again, you guys should all already probably are subscribed to Canadian Prepper, so we don't have to do that. We don't have to promote this channel. So let's see. Here's this one I was interested in. This was provided by one of the viewers from Newfound Adventures. Besides family and business, what does Canadian Prepper do with his time, like hobbies and interests outside of prepping?
That's a good question. Not a whole lot, really. I do karate. I do, fitness is a big part of my life. I don't do much exciting anymore. I just work and make YouTube videos and spend time with family, and that's about it. What you see is pretty much what you get.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to do. I know that as well, because I do a day job. I have the family and try to crank out videos. If I could get one a week, I'm happy. So that's why the streams are kind of nice, because there's no editing involved in it. So, one of the questions that I had saved here, let's see if I could find it, was with regard to the fitness. Fitness has always been a big part of your channel, and you have a lot of videos on that as well. Do you have like a personal routine that you do for staying fit? Because you're probably one of the most fit preppers, at least in the YouTube world, if not the fittest one. So I definitely rock the dad bod. So.
I mean, fitness, there's many different types of fitness, right? Like and then there's motor skills on top of that. So in terms of what I do, it's not so much what a person does. I mean, you can jump up and down for 2 hours a day and get good results. You'll melt fat off and you'll get good abs, and you'll feel great. But it has very little to do with what you do, so long as that you're doing it and you're doing it with intensity and you're motivated to do it. I always say that, everybody, or most people, like 90% of people, well, maybe only 80% of people now, whoever has a job, has the discipline to go into a job for 40 hours a week. Most people don't like that job, to be honest. Unfortunately, most people would rather not be at their job, but they have the discipline to go and sit in this place for 40 hours a week, and then they wonder how they can't have the motivation to put in like an hour or so, like running or just doing something physical. It's simply a matter of you wanting to do it. There's no all of these, there's a huge industry around fitness, which is fine. I mean, if it helps people, that's great. But the reality is you don't need that. I mean, fitness is easy. it's not, and maybe that's why I like it so much, because it's just a way I can kind of zone out and just focus on physical stuff. But I also think that it's the crux of survivalism. And what we're doing, like the essence of what we're trying to do is to stay alive. That's what it's all about. Stay alive and hopefully have a higher quality of life. And there's something very tragic about a person who spends all of their time stockpiling stuff but doesn't pay any attention to their health. And I don't judge people. Like, I don't because I understand how quickly a person can go down a road and get depressed and just kind of lose their way. I understand that. I actually used to be a counselor for like 10 years. So I mean, I'm sympathetic to that, but at the same time, if people, like, I hear all this talk about food shortages, and but you got to be putting in an equal amount of time into your body. Like, your body is everything, man. Like, because once you have that heart attack, or you get diabetes, or you get some chronic condition, that's it. I mean, and nothing else is going to matter. That's why health is true wealth. And that's why there's billionaires like Steve Jobs. They had all the money in the world, and it couldn't save them. So that should be, and unfortunately, and Jason over at the Angry Prepper said it. It's like, those are the least popular videos. Like, if you want to kill your channel, make videos, But I tell you what, if you want to get a big video, talk about stockpiling food, and you will get 100 times. And that's the world we're living in right now, where everybody wants to stockpile food, but nobody wants to put in the work. And that's what it's going to take. Because if we're talking about, a downgrade in our standard of living, that's going to require, I mean, naturally, that's going to require more physicality in our day-to-day activities. So, you're going to need to be more physically fit. And that doesn't mean you need to be a kung fu master or you need to run triathlons. It just means that, you need to be the best you can be, because it's going to be relative. There's going to be people who are in wheelchairs and who have natural disabilities who aren't going to be. It's just a matter of, a lot of it is just making sure you're kind of on the edge of your comfort zone, so that when you are under pressure, when you are under stress, your body is going to be a bit more accustomed to that feeling of being under stress also. Because, I see like martial artists, who train their entire lives, and maybe they only get in one altercation, but it's worth it. That's a good kind of metaphor for prepping too, because people say, well, what if you're doing all this and what if nothing ever happens? Well, there's people who train their entire lives in dojos, who, nothing ever happens, right? But they do it because, on the one hand, it makes them feel good. And because we are primal beings, we're organic beings, and lots of people forget that when we're, on our virtual reality headsets and, we're glued to these screens. We forget that, for the better part of our existence, we were out there chasing all manner of animals. So, that could potentially, be what happens. I mean, hopefully it doesn't. And, I don't think there's the carrying capacity of the land would sustain that many people. So hopefully you know how to plant and garden food. But that's going to take a lot of work too. Gardening is not easy. Being outside doing physical work isn't easy. So it's very, very important that's, and I don't know, I've tried to make it, like I did a video recently about intermittent fasting, and I tried to put a bit more of a life motivational, life coach sort of spin on it to hopefully attract more people to that topic, because it's a topic that should get more attention, but it's just not going to. And if a person could, you could build a whole YouTube channel just on the physical aspect of survivalism. And maybe that could be like a new CrossFit spin-off or something, like Apocalypse Training, Mad
Yeah.
Max Training,
Yeah, I remember hearing Mike Tyson recently because he's coming back to do some fighting, and he was talking about how he was real proud of because he was felt that he was fit, he was in good shape, but now he had to get into fighting shape, and it's a totally different kind of workout strategy to do that. And you could probably say the same thing with prepping and like getting into SHTF shape is going to be different than having good cardio and stuff. So I definitely think that's an awesome idea. So anyone watching this that wants to spin up that channel, I think that'd be a good thing. And with relation to the martial arts part, I always remember like kind of Bruce Lee seems like he was training for this invincible opponent that never really came during his time. I know that he's a lot of movies and stuff, but I think that's the martial arts analogy that you did there is really awesome too. I see that you were talking earlier about Survival Tech Nord. I see that Survival Tech Nord has a comment, so we're going to bring that in and prioritize that. So Canadian Prepper, how do your dogs fit into your overall prepping, and how have you prepped for them? That's from Survival Tech Nord. Follow his channel.
Absolutely. Great guy, great channel. And very knowledgeable, extremely knowledgeable of comms. And I hope to do some more collaborations with him in the future. The dogs are, they're definitely an early warning system. I have German Shepherds. So, I have a lot of gear, you know what I'm saying? So, I got to protect that gear. And so security is a big thing for me. And not only that, though, they are companions. Like I want to do a video about dogs and how in many cases they give me a lot less headaches than people do, which is why I hang out with them so much. But yeah, I love dogs, man. And they're just great animals. They're great creatures. How they fit into prepping is primarily for security purposes, but there's all kinds of breeds, that can help you in hunting and hounds, and there's a lot of, really that's what dogs ultimately are. There's people who buy more aggressive bully breeds for actual, physical defense. And they can definitely serve that purpose. They can definitely be intimidating as well. And how am I prepping for them? Well, I just make sure I keep a big supply of dog food. And I got some pretty cool tactical vests for them also.
Oh, should we expect a video coming out on that fairly soon?
Yeah, sure. Maybe I'll do that. I have been planning because I have the two dogs. One cost me a lot of money and the other didn't. And I kind of want to do a video contrasting that.
Yeah. Very special thanks to Survival Tech Nord for the super chat there. We talked about the dog. So again, follow Survival Tech Nord's channel if you're not already doing that. And I also have all these videos here for Canadian Preppers fitness ones. So I think we're over time a little bit now. I think we're going to probably start wrapping this up. So again, I really like the idea of the fitness, although it is kind of a channel killer because every one that I've done in relation to that has been like the lowest video ever. I think you're the only prepper that goes shirtless on some of the thumbnails. So in the world,
yeah, it's been a while.
This thumbnail's catchy too.
Hey, that was back in my early days when I was trying to attract some viewership.
Yeah, well, that could work. So, cool. Well, I know that we didn't get to all the comments in the chat room. We've had the chat room's been really busy, and we have someone behind the scenes that's been kind of monitoring everything, making sure that things go well. And I know I was going to bring on Bernie really quick just to say hi to Nate really quick. So let's bring on Bernie. Bernie, thank you for monitoring the chat during this live stream. Meet Canadian Prepper, meet Bernie. Do you have any questions for Nate?
It's nice to meet you, eh? I'm going to do all Canadian prepper mockery. It'll be fun.
I think you could be the guy who pulls it off.
You got the right hair. You have the right hair for it.
Wrong hair. No, I don't have really any questions except for one main one that we've been asking all of the guests that come on is we've been working on our prepper roundtable, and we got to find out a way that you got to get you on that whenever we put this together. It's gonna be just a big group of preppers. We're all just kick back and have a good time.
We've we've been talking to try to get like Chris from City Prepping and some other people behind the scenes to just get everyone in a room together and talk prepping and drink some bourbon. I think that would be a lot of fun. One of the things that we didn't get to that we always do for the stream, and usually Bernie brings this up, is that I think it's EDC check time. So Canadian Prepper, what is the EDC that you would carry for a live stream such as this one? And then we'll wrap it up.
What is EDC? Well, just the usual. Lots of people who watch my channel seen my EDC, but I just got this new Benchmade Bug Out Mini.
Yeah, which
I'm
awesome.
Going. Yeah, and I've been using that quite frequently, and Leatherman and all the usual stuff. Titanium pen, flashlight, just the standard stuff. Unfortunately, like I said, we can't carry handguns or anything fun like that, but that's what these are for, right?
Yeah. And that's where the martial arts training comes into play too. Well, cool. All right, so that was the EDC check. So again, special thanks, Bernie, for monitoring everything, and we'll be talking at the end of this one. So everyone, I want to again thanks Canadian Prepper for coming on this live stream. This has been a fun one. I apologize to everyone in the chat room that we didn't get their question answered, but I'll be following the comment section for this one and trying to answer any ones that you have there if I can answer those. But again, everyone, make sure that you're already subscribed to Canadian Prepper. Follow his channel. He has a lot of information, and right now during the next, even in the next 30 days, I think the content on your channel is just going to be really meaningful to people all around the world, and will help them think on what they want to do for their own personal and family preparedness for things to come. So this is the year of the prepper, and it's definitely the year of Canadian Prepper on YouTube as well. So again, thanks for spending the time for talking with my audience, and hopefully we can do it again.
No problem. I have no problem doing this again. It sounds like there's a lot more questions, so maybe we'll come back another time and do it up. And I would encourage you to make more videos of your analysis of the goings on. That would be interesting. I think a lot of people would like to hear your perspective on those things.
Yeah, I've always been so hesitant on it because I work kind of in the corporate world, like in disguise as a prepper, and my boss and coworkers kind of follow the channel. So I have to be really selective and careful on the things that I say to protect the day job. But at some point, maybe I'll go all in full prepper and see where it goes. So.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to the day when that happens.
Oh, cool. Well, awesome. Well, again, thanks for being on the show. This was really fun. Everyone, thanks for being involved in the chat room. This was a fun one, and I'm looking forward to reading all the comments and the chats that I may have missed as we've been doing this live. And again, you've been talking with Canadian Prepper Live, so I'm going to send a little outro, but thanks again for supporting the channel. Stay tuned for more videos and watch Canadian Prepper's video. He just posted it today. It's an awesome one that you should definitely watch. So highly recommended. So again, Canadian Prepper, thanks for coming on the live stream, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks a lot, guys.